has decided against building a costly light rail system along the Maryland Parkway corridor. Instead, the RTC Board of Commissioners voted unanimously for a bus rapid transit system, and that's going to cost about $345 million, and price was a factor in the decision. The Maryland Parkway route stretches nearly 9 miles. It starts near the airport, goes past UNLV, and then ends at the Las Vegas Medical District.
My name is Cyrus Hojadi, and I have to point out that the urban planning that this society has done for the last 80, 90 years has been a disaster, whether it's sprawl or suburbia you find in Summerlin, or whether it's the infill projects that's going on in many of the inner cities. And I just wanted to point out that my motto for mass transit, it has to be faster and cheaper than the car. One of those options is personal rapid transit. I told you this, I believe, about 3 years ago. I made a YouTube video about this, and I believe personal rapid transit, which can go above ground, certainly cheaper for fares and construction. It can go above Maryland Parkway. It can even replace the monorail on the Strip. And it's so efficient when we build out the new Summerlins of the world, the new Green Valleys of the world, it can extend in those areas. So those outlying suburban areas really don't depend on cars either. We have these systems available. So my question is, perhaps we should consider better and faster options. Now, my option based on the 3 that you've given me, I'll pick the 2 besides the light rail, because it's gonna cost a lot of money. And then, which leads me to my other point, is if Uber rideshare programs, especially self-driving car, becomes so cost-effective, the cost comes down so much, and Tina Quigley has admitted this in a convention with Brian Sandoval was there, that it's going to reduce the demand for transit, particularly for buses and light rail, substantially, that a lot of those services are going to be empty. Because these cars are going to have like 1 person, 2 person, it's going to cut a ride from $8 to possibly $2. We could be talking about self-driving scooters. So at this time, based on our future trends, I think we should consider a different transit option than those 3 that you've mentioned. But I would pick the first 2, other than the light rail, if I had to choose, because the heart of the problem is not just infill development, outward development has to work together. Because if your outward development is just the same old, disgusting cookie cutter housing, tract development, where everything is dependent on a car, on and on and on, and everybody's complaining, oh, we're running out of water, and then the infill project is not coming together, well, it's kind of like you're mixing water and gasoline. So consider better options. I have other projects in mind. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Please make sure to get that recorded in the official record.
Do you have a response?
I'm sorry, if you're looking for a response specific to the alternatives that you proposed, we did look at personal rapid transit, we looked at monorail, different options like that. Frankly, they're not nearly as accessible to the user as getting on at the curb. They're also a lot more expensive in some cases, having an elevated structure there, and having to integrate that structure with a built environment that is not currently available on Maryland Parkway. So we did look at it, we just didn't think they were the right options for this court.
Okay, I just don't see that, but please show me.
Thank you.
Question.
So was there a light rail? Among our employees, the 200,000 or 300,000 employees that are employed virtually in one place, we have a critical mass of people to build a world-class system that would then pay for itself in terms of real estate development of every and transportation to do
Amen.
These other systems. And why hasn't that been considered? In addition, the governor in 2015 established a commission, or I think it was, what was it called? Anyway, it was called the SNTIC, the Southern Nevada Tourism Infrastructure Committee, or committee. Okay, that committee was charged with 3 jobs, developing, all related to tourism development or tourism infrastructure. And the first one on the list was a transportation system. The other one was the convention center, and the third one, I've forgotten what it is. It turned out to be the stadium. But the RTC just sat by idly while that whole system was taken away. $750 million are being spent on another project, and we're faced with even greater congestion in the on the strip and between the airport and downtown, between the airport and here we are building taking away lanes on a already extremely crowded road. It's just so unbelievable.
If I could, yes, thank you for your comments. I think you're referring to the connection between the airport strip and downtown, and we did look at that, in fact, in great detail through what we call the Transportation Investment Business Plan. This is available on the RTC's website, but out of that Transportation Investment Business Plan, which we did present to that committee, we had 5 key areas of focus. One was to improve the freeways, roadways, pedestrian facilities, and transit systems. We also looked at policies and programs that could also complement that, such as wayfinding or creating traffic management areas. And so one of the key recommendations of that effort was to look at high-capacity transit between the airport strip and downtown. And we've since pursued that recommendation and have done a separate feasibility study, which we'll be publishing later this spring, on that specific connection. Please understand, we're not talking about an either-or proposition here. We're focused on Maryland Parkway today because that's the subject matter of this meeting, but we are looking at all corridors throughout the valley, the strip included as one of the